We're back for episode number 3 of the Raedwald Trust podcast, and today we've got a particular focus on post-16 support. Hello and welcome back to the Raedwald Trust podcast. Today we are at Westridge in Ipswich and I'm joined by head teacher Emily Duque. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much for having me, Harvey.
And how are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, excited to be here and keen to really share with everyone what we do.
Good, and just so I don't get accused of any favouritism, last week I asked Tom at Alderwood his journey to Raedwald, so what about your journey to Raedwald? Tell us how you got here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I've been with the Raedwald Trust for around about 4 years now. Started off over at Parkside and I'm now at Westridge. Before that, my education career was mainly in mainstream school. I relocated from Essex about 4 years ago as well and landed in Ipswich, which is great.
Excellent. And today we're going to be talking a lot about post-16 support. And I just wonder if you can take yourself back to when you were at school. Did you have an idea of what you wanted to do?
No, that is a really, really good question. I had grand illusions of being a movie star or a famous singer. And whilst I enjoy singing for pleasure, it's not a career that I pursued. I was always really passionate about music, so I almost used my passion to direct my focus, whether that would be a GCSE option choice, then through to A-levels, and then I went to university and my degree is in music. And it wasn't until, I remember it vividly, it was the 4th of March, which is my grandma's birthday. We'd all met up for a big family meal and someone had said to me, "Oh, Emily, did you know your previous high school is looking for graduates that would like to go and train on site at school?" And I thought, oh, hang on a minute. I do want a career in music, wasn't sure which avenue. I've always enjoyed education. I had a passion for teaching some of my musical skills to friends and to the wider network of people that I knew. And then that's where I went. The more I researched, the more I realised what it wanted. And I suppose that what that highlights is it's never too late to know what journey you want to take.
Oh, absolutely not.
Follow your interests and then, you'll find your way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just wonder if that part of your journey is what inspired you to come and help children at the Raedwald Trust.
Absolutely, because no matter what your experience of education is, thinking about the future can be incredibly daunting. That's all that time ahead of you, and it's really important to enjoy what you do. And therefore, if we can offer that guidance and support, and I think there are so many different post-16 choices. So what we aim to do is to support those students to make the right choice for them at this moment in time.
Yeah, and I think we should be really clear, because I know that Westridge is particularly key to Key Stage 4 children, and obviously not being too knowledgeable about the education sector, I understand the basic concept of Key Stage 1, Key Stage 2, Key Stage 3 and Key Stage 4 being older as you go through. But what is key of Key Stage 4? What really makes that stand out? That's
a really good question. I think it's about making those careful decisions about, it's almost like that ticket to the next stage, making sure that you are aware of all of the options around you, that you are on the path that is right for you, and then having that support in place so that you're not on your own. You can draw from different people's expertise, and whether that's through us at Westridge Academy with our level 6 careers advisor that we have, or us working alongside perhaps the homeschool or with wider professionals and agencies, creating those relationships with post-16 providers in whatever form that may look like.
And we'll touch on that all in a lot more detail in a moment, but I just wonder, calling back on your experience in mainstream schools, how does post-16 support differ, and is there more challenges perhaps in alternative education?
I think so, because our pupils come to us with varying differences with an experience of their education. There may be some students that are still regularly attending their homeschool and therefore may be available to drop into assemblies that are around careers, or to have that face-to-face level 6 careers advising. So what we can do is supplement and support. Yes, of course, that the homeschool will have their careers program in place, but we can work alongside homeschools with the families, parents, carers, and most importantly, the young person, and we can always create that huge network of support around them.
And is confidence in young people, is that more of a challenge here than perhaps when you was in mainstream?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, as I said, depending on the pathway and the journey that's led them to alternative provision, It may be that there might be some considerable gaps in their learning, and students can lack in confidence about what their options can be because of perhaps missed time in education, but there is an option for everyone, and I think that's really important for us to help that young person know and understand, and then work with us alongside to where they need to go.
And attendance must be key to that. I know Westridge has been very happy recently with how attendance has improved.
Yeah, we're absolutely thrilled with our attendance at the moment, and all of our students have a marked improvement on their attendance since their starting point with us. So the more we know, a more a young person is in school and involved in their education, the likely that their outcomes are improved. So I think what we really focus on at Westridge is just formulating that relationship with our young people, building up those trusting relationships, working alongside them, listen to the homeschool, listen to the voices of the families, the parents, the carers, and actually wider professionals around them to find what's right. As I say, it's about what's right for them.
You've mentioned about working with wider professionals a couple of times. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, of course. So we may work with care homes, we may work with social workers, we may work with family support workers, youth justice workers. I mean, the list is endless, even up to the school nursing team. And we all have a wide knowledge about the students that we're working with, and we use the information that we know to put in place the right support.
And what about the chaplain service as well? Because that's something that you've mentioned to me off there.
Yeah,
how beneficial is that, and what is it?
Oh, it's incredible. We are really lucky as a trust to have our chaplain service. We're actually in the Wellbeing Hub now, and this is it looks very different to what it used to look like. There's been a lot of work going on with the chalkboards on the wall and really capturing the student voice. So they do a lot of work on, really, as you can see at the top, about understanding community, resilience. It's a lot of talking, a lot of creative activities, and it's just that extra wonderful person that a student can talk to that might not necessarily be directly educating them, but knows them, understands them, can listen to them, and then can also direct to, through our own processes and systems to wider services if need be.
And is it just probably helpful to have somebody that's a little bit away from the classroom?
Yeah,
just somebody
absolutely.
they can talk to?
Someone that they, that sees them for them as a person, perhaps rather than a student, a pupil, and that really can help them perhaps ask themselves the right questions and open up that dialogue.
Yeah, and it's funny because when we were setting up this podcast, I was walking around, there was boxes of chalk as well. There's board games all around here. You can see the colourful
puzzles are a huge hit at the minute.
We've got puzzles here. I mean, I think this one's still got some work to go until it's completed.
It does.
It just looks like so much fun. But before any next steps are taken after Post-16 comes exams, and perhaps they're not so fun. How do they look at Westridge and as part of the Raedwald Trust as well?
Yeah, of course. I mean, as I mentioned before, we work closely alongside homeschools, so there's lots of communications around about exam entries. Some students will sit their exams at their homeschools. Other students may sit their exams here, perhaps as a transferred candidate. So there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes between both Westridge and the homeschools to make sure that the right exams are in the right place, and also the right access arrangements in place. So that's the support that a student may need to access while they're taking their exams. That can be in many different forms, such as the use of a scribe or a laptop, extra time, prompting, etc. And what we can do is work alongside the homeschools. We can support creating or advising for those access arrangements. We can support gathering evidence that would support that process to ensure that the student has exactly what they need in place before the exam begins.
And what's the dialogue like with the assessment centres and provisions as well?
Yeah, so we have our Raedwald Trust Assessment Centre. They are an absolute key part of that process, and the access arrangements are perhaps, with the oversight of the head teacher. They'll be having those in-depth conversations with exams officers and homeschool SENDCOs and the wider SEND team there to make sure that all the information is being shared, stored appropriately, and then that can be used for applications.
And I just wonder as well, when I left school probably 5 or 6 years ago now, when I was looking at apprenticeships, college, it can all be just like so overwhelming. It's crazy.
It's an absolute minefield. Absolutely, it's incredibly overwhelming. So therefore, we spend a lot of time capturing pupil voice as well. So our students have key members of staff that they're linked to. They have regular periods throughout the academic year where we're capturing their pupil voice. That's, you know, about their hopes, their dreams, their aspirations, careers, but also wider safeguarding. How do they feel when they're here? How do they feel when they're at their home school? And all of that works really well to just inform, whether that be the exams access arrangements, their post-16 choices, their curriculum choices, their pathway, etc.
And do you have a lot of communication with sixth forms and colleges to help maybe bridge a gap from going to obviously Westridge to then their next step?
Yeah, we're building some really strong relationships. Recently we've taken one particularly young person to go and visit a local college that perhaps they might not have been able to access on their own. We were able to support the parent to attend as well, and because our member of staff was extremely knowledgeable about the careers and post-16 system, that they were able to help navigate that visit, and what was perhaps originally a really daunting and overwhelming experience has now really created some sparks of inspiration and actually aspirations. Yeah.
And especially with you working with Key Stage 4 students, almost the measure of success for you probably is seeing students go on and do so well in their next step. Have you got any examples, anything that makes you really proud?
I mean, absolutely. I think the majority of all of our young people that join us at Westridge, their attendance is quite low.
Yeah.
They may have become disillusioned with education, or just may have needed some extra support and guidance through that. Seeing their confidence grow, and these are often in things that you can't record as let's say like hard data, but these are the anecdotal pieces of evidence that we hear, that where a student perhaps may have not been socialising before, but for the first time in a year has had a friend over.
Yeah.
That for the first time ever has actually got themselves a small part-time job in a local cafe, which was completely unattainable for them before. And then one of as much as we're sorry to see them go when they leave, genuinely sorry to see them go, it's wonderful when we do our exit checks. So at sort of at 1 month, 6 months, and then beyond, just hearing we've got somebody that is now teaching English as a foreign language in abroad, which is incredible. We've got a young person that's just, every time we speak to them, they've got a new qualification in their back pocket that they're using to build a portfolio.
Yeah.
We've got people that have gone off to do catering courses that are now working in the catering industry. Someone that's looking at being a young support worker. So it is really incredible, and a lot of our young people want to give back. They want to become young people workers and to go off and perhaps share some of the knowledge and the experience that they've had in order to benefit others. And
that just really highlights the impact that Raedwald and Westridge in particular have on those people, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
And I won't keep you too much longer because you've got so much more puzzle left to do. But I was just going to pick you up on one thing you said there about your checks that you do, sort of when the students go off to their next step. So you mentioned 3 months, 6 months, and a year.
Then a year, and then again at 2 years. And sometimes what that can also do is, you know, as well as successes, there are periods of difficulties for these young people, and sometimes that can spark conversations with us, and maybe a placement has fallen through, or an apprenticeship has not quite panned out, or they're going back to college, and so we can just work alongside them and hear them, and it's sometimes even just talking to an extra person about where they're going, and that guidance through there can be incredibly useful.
Excellent. Well, Emily, it's been brilliant to catch up with you today. Thank you very much for coming on to the podcast. Hopefully this has given you a valuable insight into how alternative education at the Raedwald Trust at Westridge can support post-16 careers as well. So we'll say thank you very much to you for watching, and stay tuned for episode 4 of the podcast, where I believe we're going to be joined by our very first student. Thank you.